If you ask anybody to name 3 male athletes, it would be a simple task. But if you ask someone to name at least three female athletes, I'm sure they would struggle. Which led me to my topic of women in sports. Hi, good morning. My name is Natalie Orozco, and my research question was, to what extent has media representation influenced the perception and opportunities of women in professional sports over the past 2 decades? My 3 main points were media coverage, sports culture, and financial analysis. These elements don't just affect athletes on the field, they shape public perception, opportunities, and the very future of women's sports. First is media coverage. Despite incredible achievements, female athletes still receive significantly less media attention than their male counterparts. A USC study found that women's sports make up only 4% of total sports media coverage. Even when women are covered, the focus is often on their appearance, personal lives, or fashion choices rather than their athletic performance. This lack of representation isn't just an oversight, it's a reflection of what our society chooses to value and amplify. Now let's connect. Reflecting off of the college sports stimulus, Selena Quintanilla, the queen of Tejano music. In the 1990s, she broke barriers in a male-dominated genre and became a cultural icon. But media played a massive role. The public didn't just fall in love with her voice, but her face, story, and struggles. So imagine if the media gave women in sports that same visibility, not just when they win, but in their everyday journeys. How many future icons, how many Selenas of sports are we missing because the cameras never turn their way? Next is sports culture. There's an outdated narrative that women's sports are less exciting or less competitive, but anyone who's watched a women's sports game like soccer or WNBA knows that that's not true. The issue often lies in how women's sports are marketed and supported. When women's games are given poor time slots, when venues are second-rated, or when announcers lack the same enthusiasm, it tells the audience that it isn't worth your time. But here's the twist. The same level of promotion and production, women's sports thrive. Just look at the 2023 Women's World Cup. It broke records for viewership, attendance, and online engagement. Change is happening at the day-to-day level too. Young girls are playing sports at record rates, and they're demanding more from culture around them. Sports culture isn't just about competition, it's about belonging, empowerment, and representation. Next is financial analysis. Now onto the money, because let's be honest, economics often determines what gets to grow and what doesn't. There's a massive pay gap between male and female athletes. In tennis, we see some progress thanks to icons like Billie Jean King and Serena Williams, who fought for equal pay at major tournaments. But in most sports, the gap is staggering. Let's compare. In 2022, the NBA's average salary was above $9 million, and the NWA's was around $120,000. That's a vast difference. And it's not just salaries. Sponsorship deals, prize money, and endorsement opportunities are smaller for women. Yet, here's the irony. Female athletes often have higher engagement on social media, especially among younger fans. That's valuable, and brands are finally starting to notice. If we want real change, finance must follow the hype. Investing in women's sports isn't charity, it's a small business. In conclusion, media coverage shapes whose stories we hear and whose we ignore. Just like Selena rose to fame through visibility, women athletes need that same spotlight. Sports culture is evolving, but still too often sidelines women. Elevating that culture means valuing every player, every league, and every game. And financially, there's work to do, but momentum is building. And those who invest in women's sports today are investing in the future of entertainment, equity, and excellence. Women in sports don't need our permission, they need our platform. The more we recognize their strength, fund their dreams, and share their stories, the more powerful the movement becomes. Thank you.
All right, 2 questions for you. First up, how valid and reliable were the sources that you used, and how do you know they were?
All the sources that I used were pure academic review journals, so I know that they were all valid.
And if you had more time, what additional research would you have conducted?
If I had more time, I would have looked at the media coverage in high school sports compared to high school sports, collegiate, and then the major league, and how women aren't covered enough in all of those fields.